Hey everyone, I'm going to be bringing you another dream. This time it's a reoccurring dream and it's about President Trump. The first time that I had this dream happened probably in 2020 or 2019, somewhere one of those two. I say that because I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I know that it happened at least a year before this second one. Which happened in 2021. So, I do not have records of all the details from the first time, but I know that whenever I was having the dream the second time, I was like, wait a minute, this is very familiar. I've seen this before. I've watched this before, and I knew what was about to happen because I saw it before, but there were some things different about the second dream that was not in the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with it. So let's go. Both of these dreams had the same exact setting, pretty much the same outcome. There were just a few details that were different that I believe are still very significant, and there's a reason why they were different. So this all starts out with a Trump rally, but it's not like your typical really large outside, even indoor setting where it's huge. This one was a little bit more intimate, but still a fairly large group of people that were in this convention center of a sort. And we were all sitting at tables as if we were being fed food. I was with my husband, and I remember another pastor friend of ours was there as well at the table that we were sitting at. Excuse me. And we were waiting for President Trump to come out. At that time, there was just people sitting everywhere, and he hadn't come out yet. In both dreams, my husband and I and our pastor friend all sat at the same place. And in both instances, the layout was the same and everything. So when President Trump did come out the first time in the dream, the first time it happened, he was wearing his typical suit attire, and he had his security around him, and he came out. Everyone cheered and applauded. There were high spirits everywhere. Everything was really good, and he was coming out to speak to everybody. In the reoccurring dream, we were all sitting there waiting for him to come out. When he came out, he was not in his suit attire. He was actually in more of like a vacation type shirt that you would see at like Hawaii or something like that. And he was still surrounded by his security, but everything was a little bit more laid back, more at peace. You know what I'm saying? Not taken as seriously in some ways. In both of the dreams, the first one and the reoccurring, my job was to take pictures of him. So I remember being able to take very close-up photos of him. And I'm going to read my notes here, what I had for the second time at least. It says this time I was able to get up close pictures, excuse me. He looked good. A light was on him from above, and he looked peaceful. So it was almost kind of like a representation of the first time is when he was actually in office as president, and the second time him not in office as president at the time, but still maintaining that same kind of respect from people, praise from people, still kind of like holding that same position, but you can clearly tell by the clothing that he was wearing that the role was not officially the same. Now, everything seemed fine for both situations, each time I had these dreams. And in both times that I had these dreams, there was a problem that happened. The first time that I had the dream, I remember there was like a set of double doors to the right, and behind those doors, there was security guarding the doors, but behind those doors was a hallway. And there were a group of people that we know to be terrorist types that were Antifa. And they were back there, all dressed in complete black from head to toe, black clothing, and had different types of guns. I'm not sure what kinds. I'm not very good at knowing what kind of guns they are. And I knew that they were there to cause chaos. The second time I had the dream, the same exact thing was happening yet again. I'm going to read off my notes again so I don't miss something. There was a corruption in his team. who allowed the Antifa group into the event with a lot of guns, with only one goal, to kill everyone. So everyone that was at the convention area, their goal was to kill everybody. These people with guns had all black on. I saw a group of them in the hallway. People that worked there said, "Don't come this way." The group of Antifa were standing and some knelt, all pointing towards one door with their guns. So I remember they were kind of like huddled together, and there was another door or set of doors that were, I mean, literally just adjacent from those doors that I just came through. And they were all focused and honed in on there. I don't know what was behind those doors. I don't know what their target was at that point, or who was in there or anything. I have no idea. So things at this point, the first time I had the dream and the second time that I had this dream, were getting very intense. Like you can just you can feel the tension of there's a problem, we're in danger, we're gonna die. Like it was that kind of a fear. So in both instances, this is what happens next. A woman working there was starting to pepper spray people. And she tells them, "I'm saving your life," every time that she's about to pepper spray them, or while she's pepper spraying them, or after she did it. Like, doesn't matter at what point of time she was doing it. She was trying to let them know, "I'm trying to save your life." And those people who were sprayed went to a special safe place to clean up their eyes and then leave safely from the event. There was a designated place for these people to clean off as if they were expecting this to happen and had an escape plan for everybody. But not everyone was safe. Mind you, this happened both times, okay? So the first time and the second time, there was a lady who was spraying the pepper spray. And I knew both times having this dream that whoever was left in that room, in that building, that they were not safe. That I knew that the group that had all the weapons were going to kill them. And I made note that each time I had this dream, that myself, my husband, the friend that was with us, we all got pepper sprayed in the eyes and left safely. I can even visibly, I'm visibly seeing it in my mind right now, remembering how everything went. I remember we got sprayed, we got cleaned up, and then we literally ran out into the parking lot area, and it was dark outside whenever we left. So each time we leave safely from the event, but if you ever watch those movies where stuff's intense and something very similar to what I'm mentioning to you, things were crazy in that dream and very confusing as far as why people were doing certain things that they were doing, not knowing who to trust. That was a big feeling that I kept feeling. I didn't know if I could believe the people that were telling me to go this way or go this way to get to safety, if I could actually trust them, because I had known that there was somebody inside the presidential encampment that allowed harm to come in. And so I didn't know who I could trust, right? So yeah, a little bit more here. Just hold on a second. Now, the last part that I have written down here, I said this time, which means the second time that I had this dream, I said that Trump was not in a suit, like I mentioned earlier. He was in everyday clothes, like a vacation. And I also mentioned that we had a child, a little girl with us that was not ours, but we took to safety with us as well. Someone else was with us, a younger person, but we didn't know where they ran off to. And I remember telling the younger person, which was a young man, about what was about to happen. And he watched with us in the crowd while it did. So I remember the second time that I had the dream, there was such a foreknowledge of, oh, I know what's going to happen. I've seen this before. I've lived through this. I've seen this. And I was trying to tell other people, obviously the younger person that was with us, and proving to him, hey, look, this is actually going to happen. And it was. Now, I have been feeling for the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks, this dream has been continuously popping up in my mind again. And a few things you need to know, when there's a reoccurring dream, a reason. There's a significance. It's as if God is putting an exclamation point on something or highlighting something, letting you know that, hey, this is going to happen and it's going to happen soon, right? So I had this in possibly 2020, 2019. I don't remember which time for the first one, and then 2021. And I've kind of seen bigger stuff like this that I have dreams of typically happen within 2 to 4 years. Okay. So, we know well and good how our society has kind of been running a lot lately and the chaos that comes with a certain group of people. And because of that chaos, you can understand that there is very likely a second attempt of a type of attack or chaos to ensue to harm a mass group of people. Okay. If you remember when Trump came into office the first time, how much chaos went rampant in the streets, right? With a certain group. I do believe this is pointing towards a very similar mindset happening and situation happening, not necessarily just a mindset, but a whole situation happening again with the intent of harming people. So yeah, I don't have any more information other than what God's already revealed through very obvious things through this dream and possibly some not so obvious. We can be sure and know, though, that what once happened will happen again based off of this dream reoccurrence. And I don't know what to make of pepper spray being put on people in order to mark them as safe. I don't know. I know there were times whenever I first had this dream that I was like really feeling, especially the first time I had it, I was really unsure. I'll just put it that way. The second time I had it, it's what I'm talking about. That I really felt like people being marked was a way of understanding that people were being marked with Christ and being safe from the destruction that was coming. Like, all the stuff that happens in Revelation. So yeah. So this is one of those dreams where I don't have full clarity to know what every little detail means. Because sometimes I don't get full revelation. And just like I mentioned before, and Scripture says as well, we see in part and we know in part. And every time that we get bits and pieces of information, whether they're clear to us or there's a just huge question mark on it, it should always lead us back to Christ to ask Him for direction, for understanding, for insight, and for guidance in our own lives. Like, Lord, with this information, what do I need to do? With this information, what part do I have to play? You might not have any part, right? It's just a matter of maybe praying, which is a part. It's a very important part. So, but just pray for our nation, if nothing else. Pray for Trump. Pray for the people that are around him. Pray for wisdom to know who the mole is. All in all, whether you like Trump or not, I really don't care. I'm more worried about what God shows me and entrusts me with to tell others. And so I'm telling you these things and I'm revealing this dream to you to help you see and know and understand that this matters to God, and to know and understand that God cares enough about us to warn us about things that might seem insignificant or out of our reach and not able to do anything about it. But, we really have an ability as a body of Christ to stand up against evil and to do it by spiritual warfare. And so just pray and ask God for direction and just pray for our nation, because our nation needs it. Our nation is in the balance between good and evil at all times, and more times than not, it's weighing more towards evil. So we need God back in our country. So just pray, pray, pray.